like, hello, this is Uncle Lord. Hello, everyone, and welcome to, honestly, show number 161. Not if you got our email that said 162, which I sent out a reminder of. Wrong, it's 161. Of This Week in Hospitality Digital Marketing, coming to you live from Terminal A in Baltimore's wonderful international airport, along with Mr. Edward St. Ange of Flip2 from Orlando, and Mr. Robert Cole from Destinations Unknown, but I'm hitherto guessing probably Dallas, comfortably in his abode.
I'm going to guess Orlando. Robertson.
You're going to guess.
Oh,
Orlando.
and hey, our Australian friend Stuart is joining
Our
us.
Australian
Ed is
friend
very
Stuart.
bad at guessing.
G'day, mates.
Good
Wait,
night.
I thought he was South African. Really? I had no idea.
You can tell in the vowels. They're a little bit different.
Yeah. I thought he was West Coast Australian. I think he was Perth bound, but it's that little twang at the end. I think that
No,
throws me off.
he's from New Zealand. We should stop being
exactly.
mean.
He's a Kiwi. He's a Kiwi.
No. I'm thinking maybe Tasmania.
Stuart, do
Never
they
gets
have
old, boys.
do
Never
they have
gets old.
Outbacks in Australia, Stuart?
One big one.
Questions, though.
One really
Are
big one.
they just called here?
Yeah.
Yes. You guys.
Oh, dude. Well, it's been a while since we've had the pleasure of tormenting you, so it's kind of like a welcome
I know.
treat to be able to say, "Hey, Stuart, let's abuse you for
Yeah,
a
I
few
had a
minutes."
3-week period where I actually sounded English again, and then I came back here and all went to pot. So
It all went to pot. Yeah. Oh well. But
Yeah.
hey, thanks for
Stuart,
being with us. Huh?
Did you
It's always-
get to see the fun college football thing we did with Myrtle Beach last weekend?
I didn't. No, I didn't. What are you talking about?
We
Mr.
are-
Ed, actually, yeah. Please tell us a little bit about, because it is pretty impressive stuff. And since we're not against self-promotion, please.
Sure.
That'd be excellent.
So, we work with the Myrtle Beach Chamber, who does the marketing, the travel marketing for the area. And they are very big into sports. And Myrtle Beach actually got their first NCAA basketball tournament set up for November. And they're actually, I guess, actively considering a bowl, like a football bowl. Anyways,
Wow.
Myrtle Beach does marketing.
Now, will they be having that at the middle school field, or where's?
Oh.
No, they've got like a 25,000 seat
Wow.
stadium. Is it about 25,000, Stuart?
I think so. They expanded it last year. I'm not sure what
Okay.
it was now. But yeah, Coastal Carolina Stadium's pretty big.
So Myrtle Beach does like marketing activations at nearby areas that are hosting schools that represent Myrtle Beach's Drive Market, and they've done it for a while. And we had always said to them, like, listen, the next time you're going to do one of those, let us know. We think you could do something interesting and get some really tangible impact on top of the branding and everything else that you're doing. So we got a call last Tuesday. Hey, this weekend we're doing a marketing activation for the Belk kickoff at Panthers Stadium. We'd like to do what you suggested. And we're like, okay. So in 2 days, we designed the entire strategy, all the creative, even the creative for like the in-stadium, because it was all the screens in the stadium at certain points had this Myrtle Beach. We called it Beach Kickoff. So if you go to beachkickoff.com, you can see what fans saw to enter the contest, and it's a fan battle between West Virginia and Tennessee fans because those were the teams playing. And it's to show how you rep your team well on the road to win a trip to Myrtle Beach.
Clever.
Pretty smart.
So within 2 days after the game, Myrtle Beach reached enough people to fill that bowl a second time.
Wow.
So
Wow.
we've already done some pretty substantial impact for them.
Now, what sort of filtering did you require on this particular?
Flip2 takes care of all of that stuff. I mean, that's the thing. Like that, our platform naturally, is set up to, allow. I mean, we work with hotels in Reno. We had to have stuff like that. But yeah, so it's really fun, and so it went so well. And actually, we're running the contest for another week. So they're going to continue racking up some serious stats on it. But now we're working on one for the week for next Saturday, which actually I'm most excited about because it's UNC hosting UCF.
Oh,
And so, nice to have my worlds collide. Be able to do something that's targeted at the UCF fan base. You know,
I
pretty
had
fun.
no idea Central Florida even had. There's a
Central.
university.
I'm sorry,
there?
Central Florida. What's Central Florida? It's UCF.
Yeah, exactly.
Get it right.
I had no idea they even had a school there. Really?
Yeah.
Huh?
You know, it's actually
They have a football team too. Wow,
It's
had no idea.
the largest school in United States.
In the United States?
Yeah, university.
So what is that for?
67,000 undergrads.
Is
I was
that
under the
on-
impression it was second
on
largest.
campus?
Did it
Is
take
that
It was
on
second.
campus,
It was
or-
second largest last year.
Okay.
Now, does
passed
that
them.
include online students, or is that
No,
literally
no.
that is on campus? Wow.
And that's only underclass. That does
And
not
that-
include.
Yeah, that's students that actually want to party instead of getting an education. That's,
Right.
That's my understanding.
UCF has graduate programs, really?
Real nice. Real nice.
I'm in a snarky mood today.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Where'd you go
I'm
to?
just-
Where'd you go to school? Because you haven't said it yet today. Is that why you were building up to this?
Talk about
Working in?
football. Talk about football powerhouses. The Big Red. Maybe some people must think that's Nebraska. Hopefully. No.
Cornell has a football team.
When I was there, I want you to know we were ranked number 1 in the polling of the worst football teams in the nation, but we beat Columbia in the last game of the year, so we wound up being the second worst team in the nation. So yeah,
Wow.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
that was
Kinda wondering
something.
if that was
Always
the,
nice to be top of those.
The dead cat bounce.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. Now hockey, that's a whole different thing.
Well,
Lacrosse, yeah, we can talk hockey and lacrosse. So
Field hockey.
oh, I'll send some folks down to visit you to have a chat about that. Yeah, you don't want those big guys with sticks coming after you. That's not good.
No.
So
So anyway, so that was my fun last week. It's actually why I had to miss the show because attached to the football game was also a Brad Paisley concert Friday night, which we had to have all the creative design for the screens on both sides of the stage and everything. So
oh, really? Well,
yep. So that was fun.
very cool.
That's awesome. It's a good
Yeah.
idea. Really good idea. It's got legs too, tangible legs. Getting the right kind of audience.
Well, that's
Yep.
I mean that's kind of the premise. The traveling sports fan.
Hmm.
That's a really interesting market from a spend perspective.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And to connect with them on something that is very meaningful to them. I mean, we know it's meaningful for you, Robert, because you mentioned Cornell on every show.
That's right.
So to be able to connect with a consumer on something that really matters to them and show interest in that, and be able to tie it to the purpose of what you're ultimately trying to do, which is to get them to come to Myrtle Beach.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That's
Well, and actually, I think Cornell's an excellent example where people still would support the school's football team despite the capabilities of that football team. So, their people are true to their schools, right? It's a huge. We talked a couple shows ago about graduate hotels and what a great job they're doing in terms of kind of activating that that university market and building great properties and just nailing it as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're working with a client that's looking to build a new property near Alabama University of Alabama, and it's going to be super high end. I mean, we're talking probably $5,000 for a couple of nights. So for ball game weekends, it's
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity.
There's not a lot of
What do
good
they do?
inventory in Tuscaloosa. For
No.
the higher end alumni. And
What do they do
listen,
the rest of the
you
year?
can't
though?
you can't be fooled by the majority of Alabama's fan base because most of them did not graduate from Alabama. But the people who actually did graduate from Alabama are fairly successful people. I know quite a few people who graduated from there
Wait, are
that
you
have done
suggesting
very
that
well.
the people like teams because they win? Is that what you're suggesting? I've never
Yes.
heard that phenomenon before.
It has something to do with T-shirts. Like whoever prints the best T-shirt gets fans or something.
The coolest mascot. Yeah,
Right.
Elephants are really cool.
Yeah, they are the elephant in the room. That's neat. So that's a lot like Benchmark is opening a Texas A&M hotel right now. That's completely Aggie themed. Like even the plate on the shower handle for hot and cold, it's just Aggies.
Yeah.
So
That's because the Aggies
Unfortunately-
can't tell the difference between hot and
Unfortunately,
cold. That's,
it's just lukewarm. It's just
Yeah.
lukewarm the whole way.
All right.
So do we want to talk about hotel marketing, or do we
Yeah,
want to?
yeah. Let's just try a little hotel marketing topics, Mr. Robert. You brought a great list together, so just throw one on the table.
Hey, you guys throw them. I produce all.
Hey,
I'm the only
you
one who's
talked about-
looked at them.
TripAdvisor growing interest in vacation package search.
Oh yes.
You know, obviously, there's a reason why they're interested in that because they want to be able to make money in that. But actually, something more interesting. When's the last time all of you have been on TripAdvisor?
Recently.
Yeah.
Did you notice?
ago?
Did you notice the Google login?
Yeah, but that's been a recent Google
Okay.
push.
No, I know,
Everywhere.
but
I got to throw it on my website. Even it's just it's cool. I mean,
that's a big change. Like, and they've designed it to be very obvious. It's a hover over like Google login thing.
yeah, no, I like it because it makes it a little bit like that one pass card kind of thing. Like, hey, I don't have to remember passwords and stuff as long as I can identify myself on one platform.
and it proves that even a company that duped the industry into giving their customers to it can have the same thing happen to it by Google.
So wait, are you saying on the general login that they now have? They're now
They
using the Google
they
login?
support the Google
along
login,
with-
but they're like
Right.
they're drawing attention to it. So I had been on it yesterday because, by the
Oh,
way,
really?
TripAdvisor.
Oh, see, I'm
is-
not. They must be doing some A/B testing. So I know because they always did face. They were a launch partner with Facebook Connect.
login,
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
if you
when they-
look at their trajectory when they launched the Facebook Connect, was when the number of registered users just skyrocketed. It went up exponentially.
Yeah, it makes complete sense.
Yeah.
So, but I just
Yeah.
thought it was interesting. I mean, that's and it's not coming up now, but it was up there yesterday. So they must be A/B testing to see if shows like this pick up on it.
Exactly.
It's a PR push
yeah.
to get us chattering. Yeah.
They want us to know. They're trying to draw our attention as show directors. Like, hey, well, I hope HDM show gets connected to us. So yeah, it's a big deal for them that we get connected.
They should take the HDM logins. That should be a thing. That would get them 6 people.
Yeah. No, you forgot
That's
two
right.
other hosts. 8 people. Okay,
Oh,
8.
That's funny.
8 people. All right. Let's not shortchange ourselves on this. All right. We call it our circle of
Exactly.
therapy. Remember, it was called our circle of therapy. Trust circle.
Actually-
mistrusted circle. Yeah.
I'll give you a funny,
Circle
a
of
funny
mistrust.
story. Since one of our fellow nuts, I don't know if we all need therapy. What are we? Is not
probably
here. I was talking to one of my employees today, and we were talking about the fact how at STR, Tammy Peter had gone to it, and I was like, oh, I need to follow up and see what she thought. And I'm like, she was there the whole time with Tim, and he's like, Tim who? I'm like, Tim Peter. He's like, so? I'm like, they're married to each other, and he's like, really? And it was Stuart. It was Ricky.
Ricky?
He's like,
That's
really? They're married to each other?
That's funny.
That's funny.
That? Because she
Poor
doesn't
Tim.
often admit it.
It's publicly. That's
Yeah.
Well,
Tim's always
and
like, yeah.
And as I said, I think on a show before, it was really uncomfortable watching. Tammy would be standing there, Tim would walk up, she'd kind of edge away. It was just really very awkward. And Tim, that's what you get for not being on the show.
That's
We'll
right.
just make up-
Something-
We'll just make up stuff. So,
I did get to spend some time with them at the HSMA Curie program, which is why I'm here in Baltimore right now. That's where it was held this time. And
that's right.
it's always good to see Tim. Saw Holly. Holly's doing great. I mean, I just finished seeing her in New Orleans. She has that influencer program. I know we've been ranting about it, but it was kind of a bit of the buzz of the conversation with people. A lot of these hotel ownership groups are looking for a sales training solution. And Holly, I don't know whether she's been listening in the background with it. She took all the tools I was playing with and then added some tools and put it into what she did with Signature. And she was like the belle of the ball. All these hotel ownership groups wanted to, and brands wanted to talk to her about coming in and doing training for their sales team. So
Holly is always the belle of the ball. What can
she is. Well, yes.
Let's face it. She's also like the most powerful person on this show.
Yeah. Yes. She is the fact checker and the no, you keep it between the bumpers person. So yeah, she does do that.
Yeah.
So today we are just hosed. But but hey, if Tim and Holly were both at Curate and now they aren't on the show, that's another demerit in the column on their scores.
Yes. We've kept it.
Those keeping scored home.
Yeah. Yes. Anyway, sorry, I'm typing over. I'm making sure we're pushing around on all of our links, so I'm not actually looking at you guys while I'm pushing out on some LinkedIn contact stuff. So here we go.
I see. So did anybody want to talk actually about the situation with TripAdvisor being interested in the packaging?
I don't know. Did you think it was interesting?
This would have been news, 5 years ago, maybe? But I don't know.
Well, no. Metasearch packaging is tricky. I mean, I was involved with.
Oh, this is why you want to talk about it.
Yeah, so I can reference
you can talk about how you did all this back at the Neat Group, like 37 years ago.
That was before he tripped over the power cable that took down all the servers in the big glass room that he was walking by.
And that was back when people actually booked in packages, you know.
Right. And you get the little red background ticket that you had to bring to the airport. That was that time.
Yeah. No, but that is. I mean.
We're brutal. We're an equal opportunity abuse organization, I think.
Of course. But the interesting thing is Google is also working on this same stuff. So all these guys who are looking at how they can do it end to end and capture the full wallet. This is serious stuff, because if you can lock them in, and especially, I mean, TripAdvisor I think has a disadvantage to Google. I mean, Google Flights is pretty powerful. And if
every travel company that is created now or goes into anything new is at a disadvantage to Google.
That's true. Yeah.
Every travel company that currently exists is at a disadvantage to Google.
Well, TripAdvisor still has 456 million unique visitors a month to their sites, right? So that's not bad. So they're got a leg up on some other
Google?
folks. Oh no!
And how many of those? Wait, how many of those came from Google?
Right. Yeah.
That's true.
Yep. Because they're very TripAdvisor's very good at SEO.
They are.
They're excellent at it. But
well, they could honestly, to be fair, they could be terrible at SEO and they'd still rank really highly because
it's just the content.
They have the content, right?
Right.
And the ever refreshing content.
Yeah, and all the brand references, they're naturally getting links. You know, they're just.
Yeah, no, it's a machine.
Yeah.
But again, once Google really starts, I mean, they're playing around with trips. They're doing all sorts of little connect the dots sorts of things. So, somebody did I think Martin Soler had a thing out on I think put on LinkedIn or something. I didn't put it as one of the top stories, but he was talking about Google Flights having a thing where you just put in your origin and then you don't put a destination, you can just put in like a week or something like that, or wherever you want to go. And boom, it comes back with all these destinations of all these low fare, which again, it's using a bunch of, AI to go say, oh, there are people in Orlando. Where do they fly to normally? And let's look at the fares.
I can't wait for that. Because a lot of times when I'm planning a trip, I don't care where I go. I have a couple of, I'm in Orlando. It's this time of year. So I either want warmer or colder.
Right.
Okay. And I'm either with my kids or not. I really don't care where I go. What are my options?
And you can see some amazingly low fares. I mean, I looked for some reason Chicago, just when I was looking at it, it was like $84 round trip from Dallas. And you go, wow, that is low. Sort of thing. So, I don't know.
It's the most corporate America flight path. Dallas to Chicago.
Well, it's American between hubs, and American seems to be fighting Spirit and United too. I mean, they're undercutting spirits pricing, which is
That's crazy.
you would not think they would need.
Gotta love
or want to
Americans
do,
fighting
but-
spirit.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Oh, and speaking of airlines, United raised their bag fees following JetBlue. Isn't that nice? Didn't even do a press release on it.
No.
Why
Just-
would they?
Make a little notation that we've
Yeah.
made some changes to our baggage
That's not
stuff.
more expensive.
These guys just over and over like how to do it wrong and piss off people, and yeah, I don't know.
You
They,
think not sending
they've
press
turned it into a
releases wrong?
sinus. No, but they should make an announcement
Why?
on it. I mean,
Why?
because you want transparency on these things, because you're going to get a backlash of people hating
I
it.
don't
If it's right there in front of you while you're booking,
Yeah.
that's transparency.
Right.
Does a hotel need to send out a press release anytime they
And you
move
know what
their
their
rate
re-
strategy
but their
upwards?
Their communication strategy was so bad. The rationale for the fee increase was we hadn't increased the price had been the same for a long time.
Yes.
So,
We haven't got enough from you, so we're going to turn
Yeah.
the leak a little up.
Hey.
and-
To be fair, it's truthful.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh no, that's true. There's absolutely
Would
no
you
reason.
rather
We just
have,
want
like,
yeah.
complete, garbage lies when realistically it was just because they haven't done it in a long time.
I think
and-
for that
think-
organization, they probably have an obligation to try to be a little bit more upstanding and do the right thing.
But then they're drawing attention to it in the wrong way,
Right.
right? Because if they write a press release, then more
Right.
people are going to pick it up, more people are going to write about it, and going to sensationalize it to get more clicks to their articles,
And
more
instead-
people are going to be aware. And now it's just someone that's shopping is like,
All that's
I've already
happening
made a
anyway.
decision. It's an extra $5.
So now they're linking to Business Insider, they're linking to wherever, Skift or something else, and yeah.
Well,
doing
I
the
mean, you
same
got to
thing.
figure too. We don't announce in our industry, "Hey, I just went over and jacked your rate $15 because I can."
Right. If
No.
every hotel that increased their resort fee, if they had to put a press release out, I don't think
No.
we have any other news than that.
But it does.
No,
I,
but
but I
in-
will find out Robert's side of it. Is there's this nostalgic hope that the airline industry can kind of sometimes think of themselves as a guest service industry for just a moment and say, "Hey guys, we're about to hit you just a little bit harder than we did last week." We know it's a
Oh,
fleeting.
that's
It's just
funny.
nostalgia. It's just nostalgia at this point. It's not a reality.
The thing that
Except
cracks me up
Southwest,
is when
except Southwest, let me tell you.
pilots say, "We know you have a lot of choices."
It's like,
No, we don't.
no, we don't.
I'm
Right.
sitting here because I have no choice.
Right.
I'm connecting between two airports because, well, you didn't put it direct from where I am to where I needed to go.
That's right.
That's no choice.
That's it. They
Yeah.
control. They divvied
So-
up the origins and destinations.
So, Stuart, was there anything you wanted to talk about?
There was some big Google algorithm changes in August.
Yes.
To the core. I think that's something everyone needs to pay attention to. It
Looks
affected.
like it looks like it's got some serious implication on if your video game is sharp.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh no, I left that one off too. Did that one fall off? I had that for the list.
Sure you did,
I-
Robert. Sure you did.
Oh man.
yeah,
No, I
did.
you had it on a list. It was the six implications that the local changes but it talked about both. So
Oh yes. Okay.
you had it. So essentially, what Google's continuing
There
to
it
do
is, okay.
and has been doing for 20,000 years is focusing on content and quality content. And, I don't think everyone realizes how much manual component still goes into the Google rankings. They have a lot of people that will manually review sites, and they have guidelines. And a list of their guidelines was recently leaked and confirms what a lot of people have been talking about for a long time, which is there's a different level of discernment for sites that are considered valuable to your health, your well-being, monetarily important, things like that. So a site where you might be seeking, medical advice or transacting a hotel has a different level of scrutiny than a site that is entertainment or humorous or something like that. That doesn't really have a big, meaningful impact.
It's obviously not a gigantic level of scrutiny because you still have reservations desk spoofing hotel names to try to trick people through their SEM strategy.
Yeah,
That's true.
So I don't know how much scrutiny there really is on the hotel side.
Right. But if you look at the checklist that was kind of leaked, they do things like the quality of the design. So hotel sites that are sitting out there and saying, well, my site still transacts, I don't need to invest in a new website, or their uncles, cousins, sisters, milkmen built the website for them 10 years ago, and it looks a little dated. That could be a penalty, not just because the users are going to not necessarily interact with it the right way, but also because there's a manual person potentially looking at it and dinging you for having an older looking website. So
yeah. Well, and a lot of that's just usability. And, again, so many people use Google Analytics.
Mm-hmm.
They've got all the bounce stats. They know what page, what's happening with all these pages, and where they came from, where they went, all that, and it provides pretty good insight.
And if they work with Stuart, they also know why they came there.
This is true. Typically do.
Not just what, but why, and who.
The other things that changed really were the focus is on a continued focus on content on the site, and things like the authority of the content and who's contributing the content. So the examples that were given were things like, if it's a medical article being written by a medical professional versus just some Joe Schmo blogger, gives it more credibility. So, really trying to build up whoever is writing content for your site, trying to build up their reputation, their following, their authority is continuing to be more and more important.
Well,
when Lauren wrote all his anti-vaxxer blog posts, those really took over just because of the amount of clout that he has.
Authority on that subject, yeah.
I'm an authority on that subject, yeah. Yes. I got to say one thing I was surprised with. I'm talking with Tim, and he was doing this predictive thing for his search engine software that he's building and stuff. But when I found that app I was talking about last week, that Omnix, that you can plug in data sets from Facebook, Twitter, and Bing, those are the three I pulled in. Anyway, they had a connection to Google BigQuery, and it had an AI modeling function to it. And I got to say, it was really crazy because the way I had the goals and the events set up in the website, it gave me these neat predictive page reviews as to, by an entry point from geography into this page, this is the projected path to the transition point. And I had never put some of these correlations together.
Yeah.
Oh,
we lost him.
He gave out secrets.
That's right.
Exactly.
But the fact that, it was the first chance I just scraped on before I had to take the travel time now. And I'm sitting there, it's like, man, I got to go back. What if I start redirecting my strategies into, if I'm looking at this predictive modeling stuff with confidence factors, is like, maybe I need to rethink my entry points geographically into my site and stuff. It's just crazy, this predictive opportunity that Google has, that they're obviously using well beyond that scope.
But even with Google doing it, Stuart mentioned it, they still have a lot of people looking. They have a lot of humans looking at their search rankings, because the whole thing is kind of the unintended consequences, right? They go, this is a great fix. And then they'll look at it and go, this is not quite
unintentional consequence.
Yeah, but they also, when they do stuff like that, there's also just tons of people trying to figure out how to game whatever the latest thing they did was. Yeah.
I did.
But anyway, local for hotels, local is just as important and big.
I don't see it. I'm kidding.
I'm sitting there going, do I actually bounce my head going, wait a minute? Hey, Stuart, I wanted to ask you a question. First chance I've gotten to ask you. Have you gotten any pushback or any people asking you about Google's new mobile local interest ranking that shows up? Has anybody been talking to you guys about that?
Yeah, we've had a few just curiosity questions about it and the impact. I don't really have an opinion yet to see. I haven't seen that it's really having a big impact on our clients' traffic or anything like that yet. So,
no, I don't think it has for us. And it came from the client that asked me about it, but it did open my eyes to the fact that there was stuff that I never, again, going back to the AI component, never thought about is correlated to my location based on what Google was referring to. They were listing some things, and I'm like, really? I'm that close to that? And I didn't realize it. I never, because again, human perspective is still tempered by our own personal interest or personal perspectives.
Right.
Where AI is full blown, whatever correlation values they want to pull up with it, what parameters. Yeah. And it was pulling correlations of things. I'm like, the cool part was I didn't trust some of the stuff it was pulling up for one of my products. And I found it on Thrill List. It really was a speakeasy around the corner. I was like, dang, I didn't know that was there. So in that way, it's been kind of helpful. But I don't think from a consumer impact,
you're not supposed to know it's there.
Exactly.
Yeah, you just kind of broke the cycle there, man.
Yeah, Google just broke the speakeasy.
I just broke the first rule of Fight Club. Oh my God!
You did.
I think to your point, Lauren, I think you mentioned this when you brought it up. I think by email was that you should, as a hotelier, be looking at your Google local results and gleaning information from it. And if there's content there that you don't have on your website, you need to figure out a way to make it better than it is on Google and put it on your website. Your website should always be your number one resource for any information about your property. And if it's whether it's Google, TripAdvisor, Expedia, whoever it is, if someone's doing a better job than you, you need to put more effort into catching up with them.
Yeah.
Well, and as you said, it's interesting with how Google's approaching some of this stuff, because you're saying if a cardiologist writes about something about doing stents or something on people, that should be the number one thing, and it shouldn't be some HuffPost fluff piece or something like that. And you would think on the business side, it would maybe go, hey, the hotel should have the authoritative content. Unfortunately, a lot of the hotels don't have authoritative content, right? And you can get better stuff elsewhere, which
but that's really not nice, Robert.
But also Robert makes a
really
good point. Yeah, but Robert makes a really good point. Really makes a really good point. In our revamping of websites for clients now, we're kind of gutting. We're not trying to. We've lost the authority race. We're not going to be the authority for destinations content when others have replaced it, where we can ride on their coattails a little bit. We've narrowcasted down some of the functionalities where instead of going deep in folder builds, we're going lateral with specifics to content, but we're not trying to create the authority for that content. We're trying to show our relevance to the content.
Right.
And so that it gives a speed time increase. It doesn't give us the authority link, but it does give us relevance to the context of it, especially if we deep link in to the content relevant to the authority that it's connected to. It's kind of a change in our strategy process.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think that the fad was, 4 or 5 years ago, was let's have a comprehensive destination, planning section of our site, an area info or something like that, and it was comprehensive, but shallow, right? It was here are all the restaurants, here are all the things. I think a much better play today is to speak about what's relevant to you, like you said, what's in your vicinity, real close walking distance vicinity,
and and do maybe
it
even give
with
some
a tone.
perspective.
Yeah,
like
do it
we
with
like
doing
this. Our
Have
staff
opinions.
likes this. This is the staff pick.
Show
like
personality,
infuse some human element into the hospitality marketing website.
Tell people the why.
building.
It's much better to list 5 restaurants that you like and explain why you like them than to list all 50 that are in your destination.
Right. And to that point also, keep looking at your attribution strings and seeing when your organic page is being pulled into your high-level attribution strings, and see by connecting why it was pulled into that attribution string, if you need to segment out a content piece, isolate it as its own so that you're not diluting it because it's just a part of a category of information. I mean, that's also been successful too. It's like if your paid campaign is driving to an events list that you have because you're being proactive, maybe it's that paid ad was to a specific event that you had listed, fracture that out, put it at its own page, and improve the conversion value of that attribution stream.
Right. Yep.
Okay, we solved world peace. What's next?
What's next? The one that I put for the top story was really kind of like a non-travel industry one, but I thought it was something we should talk about. LinkedIn provided the 50 most sought after startups in the U.S. So these aren't the biggest or most profitable, but these were the most sought after. They were looking at from a people who are searching on LinkedIn looking for jobs and really kind of behaviorally looking at stuff like that. But I thought there were some very interesting themes that came up in that list, and I haven't seen anybody really nail it down. So I thought
my favorite was the Snowflake company. I thought that was a good one.
They make snowflakes. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
No, they're in their name is Snowflake.
Snowflake computing. No, it's a cloud data storage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so anyway, actually, it was interesting. There were quite a number of blockchain ones, Ed.
There were.
Yes.
There really were. I mean, you've got everything from Ripple, which is backed from by major banks, to some of these
Listen,
some of the
everyone
Winklevoss twins.
Everyone loved talking about Theranos while money was pouring into it until everyone realized that it was a giant scam, and then it evaporated.
Well, it's finally evaporating now. It had kind of dried up, and now it's really completely evaporated.
Yeah. So just because investors are throwing money into it does not mean it's a good idea.
The blockchain, but this blockchain stuff, well, aside from Coinbase, which some of these are just crypto exchanges, so you kind of put
actually
those
a lot of these, like if you look at a lot of companies that are trying to put blockchain into something, they're literally going, gee, how can we build something that allows us to create some type of cryptocurrency and use that to fund developing things, but then use that into an exchange of loyalty or something like that. They don't care about the crap they're building to get it in.
No, absolutely.
All they care about is the cryptocurrency aspect.
It's a monetization event. Oh no, absolutely. And I went around with some folks at Focusrite where another one came up and said, hey, should we look at this? These guys are doing this ICO. This looks amazing. And what they had was a blockchain booking engine with 400,000 hotels in it. And this amazing, and it was like, what?
That's impossible.
Yes, it is. And they've got a white paper on it that they published about a year ago, and they were going to do their ICO in, the first quarter. Well, they didn't, and that sort of thing. And they have, I don't know how many hotels they have, but they do have kind of a minimum viable product booking engine on. Guess where? And their commission model is 0 commissions.
Right, because they're making their money off the cryptocurrency.
Well, not even really. When you read their white paper, it winds up that 30% of the funding round is going to go to basically operations, marketing, things like, and 65% of it's going to marketing, right? So, and you look at it, 10% of the 30% is going to development. Right. And you look, and they're also doing it on, it's a 3-week raise. They're burning all the coins that don't get raised. So that'll kind of concentrate the power. And you just look at this and go, no, nothing is ever going to happen. This is just a scam. Their management team is pathetic. I mean, their advisory board is, but they have 2 hotel people in it. One is a senior exec, both in Asia Pacific, one for Accor, one for Hilton, but they have nothing to do with distribution, right? At all. Nobody has a background in this stuff. It was like, absolutely. But again, they almost conned someone who is actually, this is now the second or third time, and it's within North Star, a big large publishing company, going, oh, this looks like something, and it does kind of look like something, but it's not.
Let me ask you a question, and this is specifically to Ed, because I know you poo-poo on the blockchain thing, and certainly it's not. I even get asked.
I fundamentally like the idea of distributed ledgers,
not the blockchain.
Yes. Right.
I poo-poo on any person doing business in this industry as their career from their life to now talking about blockchain.
Okay. Well, then you're going to
include. They're talking about blockchain and how it's not appropriate for most things in travel, and it will not kill the OTAs.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, no.
Wait. Well, one thing that was scariest.
Let Lauren go.
No,
just a second. I
want to see. I want to see what happens when you don't let him talk. He starts to shake.
He's going to be like anger from.
Go ahead, Lauren.
Okay, hold on. All right. So here we go. A discussion came up when I was curious, just some other people and so forth. That what would you feel, Ed, about creating a narrow network, crypto ledger, basically, that would substantiate contract negotiations for a large hotel brand, where it would create a platform of interconnectivity so that you wouldn't have to go through anything, but you could participate in its halo. And that crypto ledger, which would have to be determined as to how far outside the spectrum for validation would need to be in the critical mass of the diffusion of it and so forth. How do you feel about that as a possible inclusion into current thinking, or do you
Sure.
still think that?
I mean, no. Like, listen, it's fine, but let me ask you this: how much are they willing to pay for it? Because it's going to be expensive, and then how much of that is worth paying the steep tax to have it be a crypto ledger versus, any
Just
number
another
of
secure
other
ledger,
ways
yeah.
that you could do it? Because that's
a great
my
question.
point.
I don't know.
Is
I don't know.
the cost to fundamentally? Robert still hasn't noticed I muted him.
Yeah, he
The
did.
cost to fundamentally.
Nice. That's just mean.
That's just mean. That is mean. I didn't even do that. I mean,
So just got better.
That's funny. No, there's still a picture of you, unfortunately.
No, but the cost to just fundamentally design it, purpose built to be a crypto ledger, is not justifiable by the value proposition of having it be that.
Unless you spin off a cryptocurrency with it to fund it, because
But it's not.
stupid
Yes,
people will buy
it
into
should
that.
not.
and fund
It should not even be called a crypto ledger. Just stop that.
Yeah.
Okay, it should be smart contracts. Smart contracts make
Right.
a lot of sense.
Yeah, the cryptography
However-
part is completely unnecessary in what you're describing.
Right.
Unnecessary.
Well, the coin. Yeah, the coin. The
No,
currency.
cryptography, the deciphering of complex math, which is the foundation of blockchain, is completely
Well,
unnecessary.
yeah. Well, I would say you want
Regardless
some
of cryptocurrency,
strong.
I'm talking about
I would say you want
cryptography.
some cryptography to keep for security
Yeah,
purposes.
but not the
keys
kind of
stuff, but not-
decipherable cryptography that
Oh, right,
takes
right.
a bunch of miners to solve
Yeah.
equations, right?
Forget
Just
the
have- just-
forget the
just-
mining, forget the currency.
Right.
Right. Get
Yes.
all that.
I have an idea.
But you have
They
governance.
could put their
Governance is
contract
very
behind a requirement that you cannot have your password be password, and it would be more secure than a lot of these things.
important. Exactly.
and that you
Or
have to
eight-
change your password every 6
ABC
Oh,
years
right.
or
So
something.
it's
versus-
password 123
yeah,
because it's been.
yeah, exactly.
No, I
But-
mean that's
but,
my point.
No, the
is,
smart
sure,
contracts
in
make a lot of sense.
In mental exercise, absolutely. However, the value proposition that it brings to the business that would want to use it versus the expense it takes to develop that needs to be recouped is still not there. Like an industry specific smart contract solution is not going to be an investment grade company.
Right.
Like it just there isn't enough because there's only like 6 companies that would care enough to potentially pay something. And let's not forget those companies are the ones that like to go, yeah, but we have 60 million hotels, so you have to do this amazing thing for us at a fraction of the price that you would do for any other hotel group because we have 60 million. No, that's not how it works. Like
And there,
Right.
so there are already existing non-industry specific, very secure, smart transaction-based. What you're describing, right? Already exists. It's just not hospitality
Well,
specific.
but the big questions always wind up with governance, right? Is the man in charge or something like that, or is somebody they put a toll gate on it, right? Which is an unnecessarily high fee to go do that, right? So what are you trying to avoid? But the biggest challenge is A, governance, and B, adoption, because that works really well if you get every hotel on the planet doing it. Wow, that makes it really easy for meeting plans and just really makes it simple. Does Marriott really want to make it really easy for you to just as easily book a Hilton on the same platform?
right.
Just because not necessarily. I mean, there are a lot of entities who want to have structural barriers. Do the OTAs want that? A nice neutral platform where they can't get. There are huge entities who really don't want things to move forward. So I think a lot of that is a pipe dream. I mean, maybe Cvent and stuff could
almost
could do certain
everything
things.
that is discussed in blockchain for this industry is a pipe dream.
Yeah, but the one aspect, if you can wind up coming up with a unique identifier for each property and just do it like that, where you can establish a single thing as the basis.
That
If you
I
can
agree
get
with.
that rolling, then you can build on that, because once you get that identifier, then you can start building things and saying,
Again,
"Hey,
But see,
that has
we want
nothing
to
to do with
describe."
blockchain. right?
But Robert, here's the
Oh,
problem.
no.
What
Well,
you're
the thing with the unique
you're
identifier, I think
suggesting-
you do want to use the blockchain for it, or not the
You're-
blockchain. You
Why?
want to use a distributed ledger for
Yeah,
it.
distributed ledger. There
Yeah,
needs,
so
to be,
about-
there needs to be a word for distributed ledger that isn't blockchain.
A
It
DLT.
doesn't have that stuff.
I don't
It's a
agree
DLT.
because only people who know what they're talking about will actually correct it every time. We need to be able to self-identify who those people are in conversations.
This is true.
It's a secret
Um,
Fight Club handshake.
No,
Fight Club
but Robert, here's the difference in this idea of yours that I know you've worked on for a long time. It's fundamentally a good idea that's going to be incredibly difficult, and it will
Very
have
difficult.
massively positive impact to the industry and change
Right.
it forever. That's not a good blockchain company because that's not how you get to raise your coins and do all
Oh, no,
that stuff.
no,
That's way too
no.
much work.
Oh,
You
no,
don't have to
and
do
that's-
that. It's a
And that
blockchain.
is actually no. And the thing to do it properly, it needs to be a non-profit where you don't have.
Oh no!
people doing all
It can't be non-profit blockchains. That's
Yeah.
no.
That's the
You're,
worst
no,
evil plan I've ever heard to take over the industry.
Exactly.
you're missing the point. Well, you're missing the point of blockchain. It's so you don't have to work hard at fixing something. You can just take something that's a really old idea, do a really crappy version of it with cryptocurrency, and bam, you're a blockchain startup.
Oh, yeah. Well, one other thing on this company. I wonder if I should name them.
No, you should
pretty
not.
much- I probably shouldn't because
Do not name
it's borderline slander, but they do have their ICO coming up in 3 days, but in Gibraltar, right, which is the only place you can get these
That
things
makes me-
done. They don't
That makes me
regulate.
feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, the only blockchain thing they are doing is on the loyalty side, and get this,
Minimum.
you wind up taking all your loyalty program members and putting them into this large pool where then they have a currency where you can just exchange your points randomly between everybody
most
who's on the
uncreative-
platform.
It's the most uncreative. Like they're not even trying. So what are we
No.
going to lead in with? Well, let's build a booking engine. There's a lot of those. Oh,
Oh,
okay.
man.
Well, how are we going to make this tie into the cryptocurrency? How are we going to make the
Yeah.
market for this? You know what? Loyalty program where they can exchange their points.
Oh no,
Boom.
it gets worse. Plus, all the personally identifiable information is all stored there. With
Of
these
course.
guys essentially, but not with the blockchain. There's
No, no.
nothing with that.
And
It's just
they're
on a
really-
conventional hackable, hackable.
Right, and they're really unsecure, servers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but you won't
Well,
pay
but-
attention to
no, no.
that because you're going to think, oh, it's blockchain.
But it
So-
gets worse. I mean, these guys should be the case study of like the worst idea. They also came up with the zero commission thing, right? They don't get paid except when you read their thing. Well, what's their revenue model? Oh no, it's all merchant model, right? So everything has to be prepaid where they're the merchant of record, and they charge a 5% settlement fee, or more than double a traditional credit card, right? Except if consumers buy their cryptocurrency, in which case there is no fee. It's like, why the hell would a consumer want to buy a cryptocurrency on an
Are these people like 28 years old, 29 years
a couple
old?
of them? Oh no, you should see their team, their development, their product manager has like no background in product management and went to school with another guy who's like the CTO. I mean,
But
it's
these guys are
it's a
probably going to
clown
make
car.
a lot of money from a
They're
lot
gonna
of
make
stupid
millions.
people
They are going
and
to
walk
make
away.
millions.
So as much
My
as we mock
understanding
their
is-
idea, we should be mocking the investors.
My understanding was originally they got $9 million when they first started this thing off, and their cap is to raise 150 million. They're hoping for 30 to 40 million.
God.
And the payout to the founders and the team, normally there's a window where you say you can't convert this for 24 months or 60 months or something like that. No, it's taken out quarterly within a 24-month window. So they got
This company's not going to exist in 2 years. They're just not.
Okay.
Oh no, exactly. And their advisors can
But
take
they're
out
gonna be
all their
rich.
money. Advisors
Yeah, they
can
don't
take
care.
out all the money in 6 months, and that's 10% of the take goes to these, to the advisors and the manager. And you just look at it; it's a scam, right?
Before we run out
That
of time,
sounds like, by the way, it's a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I think that's giving them too much credit. That's
Okay.
Ponzi schemes
So,
require
all right,
more
Lauren,
work.
go ahead. Lauren.
Since before I run out of time, since I have Stuart, and it's been a long time since I got to go over and talk with Stuart, and this was inspired by you, Ed. Okay, so recently, Stuart, I need to share this
Scares
with
me.
you.
I already think it's a bad idea.
Yeah,
I
it's
know
gotta be-
it's got to be a bad
I
idea.
think it's a bad idea.
I had shared the fact that we're doing static cataloging, and we've done some pretty good layering on the static cataloging for the hotels that makes it where an individual hotel can do dynamic ads and not have to go off to the derby stops and pay big fees and everything else like this. But what I did add, and the inspiration of Ed, is I've asked an independent hotel to splinter off all suites and connecting rooms and creating a separate rate code category for them that I can now use that dynamic ad targeting for family travel.
Yeah.
I'm just now getting it loaded
Brilliant.
up, but I haven't had a chance. So now we have
love
a
it.
separate inventory that is suites, multi-rooms, and connecting rooms that have
Nice.
their own code indication that I'm putting into dynamic ads that are tailored parking coding for them to do targeted ads for. So
And their PMS the PMS can reserve
it's just a
multiple
promo code.
connecting rooms.
because
That's
the beauty of it is with the catalog, we isolate out the inventory and the rate available and data availabilities for it, and we cascade it instead by just hotel name. We do it by room name, and we've named
Right.
this as a category. So
Just
that
needs to get into the PMS right. Just as long
Right.
as it gets the PMS
So the
right. That's
only availability of inventory.
Challenging than you'd think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. But the only inventory available in that coding for those offers is based on the suite availability and the connecting rooms, which are individually itemized by room number, because you can do that in cataloging. And that's
Right.
queued together, and that's what's thrown into the ad. So when they pull it up for family ads, for family info, so you're actually being able to book without having to see whether or not it has a type of room or whether, because they're never going to isolate it by room number. But I can technically by just the availability of inventory that was designated by the property through the PMS on the coding.
Yeah. No, that's just a very, very complex area that, again, the hotel industry as a whole just doesn't do well. The PMSs don't do well with it. The whole being able to sell off, you've got the 2-bedroom suite. You can sell the bed. They've got connecting rooms to the, the parlor and the two, whatever, a room with a king bed and a room with two, double beds or whatever.
There's a
But how
family
you
inventory
sell
in
those
ADE.
separately together and all of that and how it's merchandised, man, just is really complicated for these
Stuart,
guys.
you know that in the EU they sell family type rooms. I mean, that's an actual category.
Absolutely.
Room.
Yeah.
We don't
By
do
the
it
way,
over here.
Vacation rentals can handle it, so I don't know why hotels haven't been able to get on it.
Because of the legacy PMSs primarily.
Oh,
Right.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's our end around. That's our end around for it. It's like, okay, so with the independent hotels, we could actually, now technically brands could do it too if they wanted to isolate it, but their system can't isolate it unless they put it into a dynamic ad, which they go back to,
Right.
that's only through that platform base.
Yeah,
But
we
I thought
work
you
with-
were
Yeah, I think it's really neat. We work with some big PMS companies, some of the biggest that don't allow, and this is their core
Some would say they're
API.
huge.
So they don't allow booking of individual units. Period.
Right.
So it's a limitation. But what
To
I
be
will
fair, one of the major CRSs in our space doesn't actually understand what inventory is. It only understands open or closed.
This
Yeah.
is true. This is true.
Yeah.
But what I was
So-
going to say, Lauren, to your point, is that I think we're on the cusp. With AI, with the ever increasing sophistication of the software technology that's out there, I think we're really at an exciting point for marketers, because stuff that at one point was way too complicated or was going to the juice was not going to be worth the squeeze, in that it was going to take way more work than you'd get out of it.
Right.
I think a lot of those things are going to become a lot easier, not just from a distribution and the rate management side, but also from an advertising side and the types of ads you can, and the granularity of the ads you can run. You're going to be able to do it a lot easier and understand the data a lot easier, and the software is going to be able to interpret the data and make assumptions and test theories and do it for you. So
But that's
really exciting.
CMS PMS connection. You've got to get the inventory broken out properly in the PMS to make sure you can deal with it. Then you can start collecting the data properly, and then you can start applying the AI. Right? If you don't have that core infrastructure, it's just not going to work.
But and to your point, the AI stuff that I stumbled across with the BigQuery stuff, that's one of the thoughts I thought of, is that if I can designate a type of segment that I'm looking at,
Right.
technically BigQuery is going to tell me the proportionate value of my content by page based on its discoverability as to the success ratio of what that might be for conversion. I mean, eventually that could be created that way.
Yeah.
And which means that I can start building content specific for the user based on the navigation trail necessary for conversion rather than just the hopes of conversion.
Well,
Yeah.
and even the pricing based on room categories of competitors, right? Because still, a lot of the revenue management stuff is just still looking at the lowest, the lowest rate getting quoted and not really getting into the nuance of bed, particularly bed types, right? They'll do some core occupancy stuff, but and again, I've noticed just recently a lot of really squirrely things coming back in terms of, you'll put like 2 adults and a child or something like that and get a king bed. There's a lot of squirrely things getting loaded where I'm not sure if it's intentional on the part of the hotels to try to push this stuff onto lists to go, a king bedded room will fit 3 people in the one bed, sort of thing.
By the way, I pulled a Robert. I pulled a Robert when I came here.
All right. Hey, quick stopping point.
Do you need
run.
bail?
Have a great weekend. Thank you all. Nice seeing you all.
Thank you, Ed. Thanks for coming in.
Bye.
Hey, buddy.
Appreciate it. Bye.
Bye. Yeah,
obviously a UCF video clip of some game highlight from last week just posted. So.
Well, I think it's good what he's doing. I think it's good stuff. But I mean, so I came to Baltimore and I went on the PX sites and saw what was going on. I got a $35 rate at a hotel in Reno. Beautiful hotel. It was a Spring Hill, and it was a former bank. You went downstairs. Yeah, compared to the block room rate, which I guess out of courtesy to whomever, I won't mention, but it was substantially higher.
No. Mention the blocker room rate, please. It needs to. No. This is a good illustration. $35 versus what,
I think it was
$215.
No, I think it was as low as 149 at one point. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Maybe it was that. But
so wait, where did you find this $35 Spring Hill rate?
Well, it was kind of fun to go, like you typically do, into the opaque platform to see what's shown in market, look at the rankings and the ratings and the stars, noticing who was flagging themselves as under renovation.
Which platform, Hotwire or Priceline?
Priceline. Okay. And then came back out of it, then looked at the same map and indicated that, well, that must be that particular hotel. Went in, saw that there was no immediate rate, but they had a very low rate. So I called the property and happened to acknowledge that I happen to notice you have a rate online that is in lower than $40 and might be able to pick that up. And the front desk was very generous in saying, "Oh, absolutely, we can bring you in for $35 if that's okay." Yes, I'll take that. Thank you.
Wow.
So yeah.
So did they have jackhammering on the? They were, jackhammering the slab above you or something.
No, they had scaffolding around the building. It was a beautiful old bank, actually downstairs in the basement. You went to the original vault, which was huge, that they still kept as part of the features of the building. Beautiful marble floors and stuff. Everything inside was fine. The room, I wouldn't say is the newest, but it was certainly by no stretch.
It was worth $35.
Oh, it was probably worth $149. I mean, and I was 6-minute walk to the event. So it was in the heart of downtown. So again, it's not necessarily, well, it's bad revenue yield that they can't realize that they can.
It's good for you, but shame on them. I mean, really, that's
right.
Yeah. I called it the robber maneuver. I was like, and then of course, talking with my compatriots at that, and then like they see me walking away from, we got dropped off and stuff. And said, "Where are you going?" It's like, "Oh, I'm just up." This is, where are you staying at? I said, "Oh, just around the corner." I was trying to be polite. I wasn't trying to make them feel bad. It's like, what? This was pretty good rate. And it was like, yeah, not as good as I got. And I told Tim, and Tim's like, he used a few expletives. It's like, that's a shit. It's like, hey, like Robert says, it only takes one.
No, it's now. I've gamified it, right? It's me versus the dumbest revenue manager in the city, and I only need one. That's it, just one.
And I also made the.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to screenshot that. Lauren looks awesome.
Personas that are interested in market. The revenue managers are in their own bubble ecosystem. They're basically playing a card game with other revenue managers. That's it.
Right.
That's the data reflection. They look at what rates being instituted by other revenue. They're looking into who's going to bluff whom on what they're doing.
Right. It's a game of chicken, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's stupid because if you really looked at your demics coming in and you looked at the demand cycles, you can hold your cards all day long and know that there's going to be a whole mess of chips coming in real soon. So you go.
Sophisticated revenue managers doing that, right? They're looking at current demand, they're looking at historic behavior, things like that. But there's a lot of people that it is like you said, they're looking at one metric being other people's rates, and they're adjusting down, and it becomes that zero-sum race to the bottom. And I mean,
and
great for the consumer, but it's terrible for the industry.
Oh yeah, well, and I forgot one feature from that quote blockchain, non-blockchain company that's doing the ICO. They have some patent pending technology, which they're never going to get the patent on it. I mean, they might have applied, but it's not going to happen. Which basically they're taking these rates and then automatically for the consumer, if a lower rate comes down, just keep continually scanning the hotel and then booking the lower rate, again on a merchant basis. So just going down, So basically eliminating the effectiveness of any revenue management platform.
There's been 2 apps already that have tried that and failed. I forget which one of them was, like Hop something or anything, but there was 2 apps.
Oh yeah,
that
the
tried
cancel
that.
and rebook. Well, no, there's still. What was the cancel on? Right, which I have tried booking on twice unsuccessfully, because they haven't come up. They won't give you a confirmation. Basically, what they're trying to do is pull other people's bookings. They're trying to arbitrage it, right? Oh, you locked in a low rate on Hotwire. We're going to go see if we can get the hotel to change the name on this thing and then sell it and make a VIG, right? So really kludgy, non-streamlined. No, I've paid you. I've given you my credit card numbers and I get a confirmation number back stuff. Really, really sketchy stuff. And all these guys who are trying to build secondary markets, that pops up every couple of years. Saying, oh, we're going to do a secondary market. We'll do this and people will bid on this and you go, why would a hotel want to give up control of their pricing? I mean,
right. Hey, can I leave you guys to wrap? I'm 3 terminals down, and I'm realizing that I need to get tightened up and get in front of my gate somehow.
Oh, sure. Fine. Ed leaves and Lauren leaves.
Yes, well, I was so looking forward to having Stuart. It was like yay, and I'm sitting here. It's like I get the bandwidth, but I'm noticing like I could almost take a shuttle and still probably not make it down there. And I was like, well, I better get in front of the gate. So. But
and
thank you.
Back
Thank you
when
very
you're
much
on board and just annoy all the other passengers.
Oh yeah, and stream from on board. That would be
Yeah, wait a minute. You know the Wi-Fi on board. There's no streaming. As a matter of fact, if you want to, you can chisel out a stone tablet, and by the time you're done, the text you tried at the beginning of the flight might have made it through.
Yeah. So the only thing before you go, the article on Airbnb for work is getting bigger. I mean, that's just going to apply even more pressure onto the group space because they didn't do it in this one, but I predict it's going to be, hey, we can start crowdsourcing. You have a meeting space? This is great. We can use this for whatever. It's a restaurant. It's whatever. We can have the people in these places come together and do it. You know?
With that, I can tell you right now, in 2 instances, I have been able to beat Airbnb on specific strategy. One is if you look at AirDNA and look at lead times and elasticity of inventory coming to market, and the penalty restrictions as to how many have restriction policies, which means anything past 48 hours, there's still a fee involved, even if you try to cancel within 2 weeks.
Right. Yep.
So you talk about average lead times, which is usually 60, 40 at the least. Okay. If you do strategic marketing at the top funnel of discovery, if you look at your full lead time into market and you pound it so that you get into the native stream of conversation with organic content, and then pound it during prime book window, you've negated a lot of the Airbnb impact at the high stage of the discovery mode, and then you've revalidated short-term pickup. And and so far we've been hitting that strategy on 2 counts, and we are literally changing the impact that they used to have from Airbnb dilution with dynamic inventory.
That's right.
So
well, then the same thing.
A solid turn.
Yeah, and for short lengths of stay too, because the cleaning fees wind up.
Well, that's
really
it. 4-day averages.
Yeah.
If you start really tearing apart the data on AirDNA in your market seg, you really begin to say what their Achilles heels are: the duration of stay requirements, the restrictions on cancellation requirements, the lead time for bookings, the fee. I mean, just there's lots of things to it. That if you start really slicing it, there's a methodology. That's just one. I'm sure there's others, but that's the one we've hit twice, and it actually has worked really solid at diluting some of the Airbnb impact on them. So.
That's smart.
Anyways,
absolutely.
Very cool. Thank you all. You'll let everyone know. I'm going to go run off and play cattle.
Have fun. Hope you catch your flight.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Damn. Stuart, the key was to keep Lauren on and have him miss his flight.
I missed the memo, sorry. That's funny. I'm not that evil. Most of the
time. To have him walking down, with his laptop,
like running while he's talking.
Yeah, running down the concourse, trying to get on.
That's funny.
From hotspot to hotspot. So anyway, hey, on this list of startups, though, I thought there were some interesting themes that one is really, really strong. And, it's 50 different companies and they're all over. But it's really down to this whole personalization of individuals doing their own thing. So a ton of them in transport, right? I don't know how
Like
many,
Lyft,
probably.
Lyft was number one, right?
Lyft was number one. Bird App, which is scooters, right? Number two. A lot of autonomous vehicle type things. All of these all tying together. Personal finance, a lot of personal finance. How does this individual wind up managing their own stuff better? A few of them for the hoteliers, just on the kind of the software services side. Sales lead management, some machine learning things. There's, one called Outreach, and then, what was the other one? Called, what was it? It was another software basically for lead management and things like that. But there were a couple of those on the list. HR, different things for employee satisfaction, really smart things on smart device delivery and setup was one called Enjoy. Another one, which was way up the list, was a repair one, which I thought was very clever because people are getting it's called Pulse, I guess, PULS.
Right.
But
I think for
really,
me, the thing that stood out was none of them. What is the definition of a startup? Because some of those have been around a long time.
Lyft was a pretty.
That's questionable, right? At this point,
Right.
it's Lyft.
Yeah.
And with Lyft too. I mean, they're number one, but I think it said that their market share of ride sharing was, it was 20%, something like that.
Right.
I don't remember. Which
they're much smaller than Uber.
Considering all of the issues Uber's had over the last year or so, it's phenomenal that Lyft hasn't been able to capitalize on that. They should have come out with a big marketing campaign really standing against all the issues that Uber had. But that being aside,
well, they've been doing some nice social responsibilities and
but it's been on a small scale. They haven't hit the human psyche like Uber did, right? Uber is synonymous with ride sharing. And
Uber, and I've stopped using Uber I haven't used them.
I know
for
a number of people have, but if I look in like a destination like Myrtle Beach where I use Uber a lot, it or Lyft, right? Depending on the situation, a lot of the drivers drive for both. But when I ask them which one they get more rides from, Uber's phenomenal. It's substantially more. So I think Lyft should have capitalized better, but
the pricing is pretty comparable.
It's usually about the same.
I think all of that stuff has kind of gotten worked out. Uber isn't being nearly as bad with their surge pricing. They figured out that was a real dissatisfying. I mean, it is, they do surge, but it's not
to the extent.
The really egregious ones. And in many cases, it's because they have more drivers and there's
for sure. But the thing I took away, or the pattern I saw from the top 50 was, I feel like there's some things on there like autonomous vehicles, but a lot of the companies that are on that list are in industries or doing solutions that already exist. They're just doing it better with technology, right? They're using AI, machine learning, to improve something that already exists, whether it's the sales lead processing, whether it's the HR software, stuff like that. We have that software. This is just the next generation of that software. So
exactly. The one Trip Actions, which is a pure corporate travel company. Some of these companies, basically, they've turned this into an app, which is basically they created a meta search platform that companies can go tie into, and it rewards the employees for staying at a cheaper place, right? Because they kind of go, you've got a per diem of whatever, and if you can save it, you get to keep it, or something like that.
And there's a few companies trying to do that exact same thing right now, so there'll be a little battle for dominance, but I think it's a great idea. It's win-win for the company and
and I think, I can't remember if it was Oracle or it was one of the tech, Microsoft or somebody started off doing it, but these guys kind of said, hey, we can take that one company's good idea. Let's go do this out. And I think they're getting traction and doing some pretty interesting stuff. Also, just really software apps and things that are targeting women for, personal finance, all sorts of different things that are just kind of taking a woman's perspective and targeting women, again being very, very successful. There was another hospitality one that was kind of buried in there that weirdly, I don't know, maybe I'm not close enough to hotel operations and hiring. Harry, Harri. Have you ever heard of that? It's for hospitality hiring for restaurant and hotel workers, basically.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. And Skift made the list. They were number 40. Which was kind of surprising that they were up there, but I guess they only have 55 employees. I think they were one of the no, there's somebody else. There was a little blockchain guy who's in there with 50 employees.
Yeah.
But yeah, really, really small. But they're generating revenue, right? They're doing research. They're creating content. They've got traffic.
Yeah, I think that could be skewed because Skip does a good job leveraging LinkedIn, right? So I don't know what
Right.
metrics specifically they were using to say that,
Right.
you know. But it
This was kind of, I think it was kind of some
of
sort of traffic to, I don't know, if people are serving
profile page or
profile pages or
interest in
looking
their
for
articles.
jobs and all that, interest in articles, interest in jobs,
Right.
and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think Grifout, they're kind of gaming it a little bit, but still, if you and they've been promoting it like crazy. Hey, we made this, the LinkedIn top 50, startups on the planet.
For sure.
So,
but I don't think you'd have a media company like that in any top 50 startups.
It was the only one, which was very which was very interesting. But anyway, no, I think that's a very interesting list to see kind of who's doing
for me, it was good just learning about some of these companies I hadn't heard about, so they're on my radar now.
And you see like a lot of stuff in product development for project managers working with engineers and all sorts of things to streamline, project plans and development plans and things where you kind of think, well, everything's gone out. Oh, yeah. Isn't all that stuff sort of done? Like, nope, these guys are refining it, doing it better. And
yeah,
always the next generation.
All the criticism we give to or the fun we have with the blockchain stuff and its lack of impact it's going to have on hospitality, AI is going to have way more impact than anyone realizes in the next couple of years. Because it's going to be infused into everything we do. Every piece of software that we use is going to have some kind of AI component to it. It's going to make us smarter, and humans and machines working together using AI, that augmented human, as it were, are going to be way more efficient at our jobs. And the people that adopt it first, whether it's sales lead management software, whether it's HR, whatever that software is that leverages the data, because that's really what AI is doing. It takes big data, makes it usable, manageable, makes it small, is what Tim Peter always says. But people that adopt that kind of mindset first and embrace these new software, they're going to be ahead of the competition. So,
and the big challenge,
people, marketers, they all need to be embracing AI.
Biggest challenge for the hotel industry is to get good data. Underline the thing, structured properly,
right?
Because again, yes, you can use AI to go interrogate unstructured data, but again, boy, it's a lot easier if you have the thing structured and you can define some semantic relationships between this stuff. And you go, here's how it works. You can give your tool that much more, and again, avoid these unintended consequences.
A lot of the hotels we come across when we start looking in their PMS data, they don't even have folio information on the guest. Like each time Robert Cole comes and stays at the hotel, it's a complete new guest. They're not mapping up this.
They've got a flag for the points. They flag, for the ones who are still stay-based and not spend-based. They'll have data. A lot of these guys in their loyalty program, boom. That's it. They go, they stayed so many nights. Well, what were the dates? You have the detail. It's somewhere, but it's not accessible.
A lot of the independents don't even have that data. They don't even have the number of stays, the number of nights. They don't have it because each Robert Cole is a different Robert Cole. They're not matching the data to the same individual. It's crazy because they don't have loyalty programs, right? There's not a unique identifier that's easy for the guest to provide. So.
I'll repeat a Four Seasons story. I don't think you were on the show when this is a pre-internet loyalty thing. And this one instance is partially why Four Seasons still does not do loyalty programs. Or no, I shouldn't say loyalty programs. They'll do recognition. They will not give people a number, right? Number one, actually, because Izzy Sharp, because of his heritage and being Jewish and his family, immigrating from Germany to Canada, giving the person number is dehumanizing, right? That was kind of the number one thing. So an orientation like, we don't want to do that. But they had the Four Seasons Washington, which had 60% repeat guests, right? It was unbelievable. And they wanted to target people who were like staying in upgraded rooms and suites over a weekend and do something nice for them, right? Just a recognition thing. And they sent them a bathrobe, right? And they had the number one concierge in the nation, Jack Nargle. He was the head of the Clé d'Or. I mean, absolutely phenomenal. Had a little Rolodex, or not a little Rolodex box, but a little card file box, which was just, the mysteries of the universe contained in there on every single guest. He could do anything. So they decide, hey, we're going to do this. And this is mid 80s sort of thing. So word processing had just kind of started, mail merges and stuff. So anyway, they go out and they send these bathrobes to people. And
so they
the
send
first
to their homes?
to their homes.
Yeah.
Well, to the address they had.
Right.
And the first, and they went out like on a Thursday, and they're shipped. Very expensive. I mean, beautiful terry robes with hoods, just spectacular. With a little note, hand signed by the GM, saying, "Hey." But they targeted first-time guests, right? Because they figured if they could get them, and they were kind of a high spender, let's get them back.
Sure.
Early the next week, that Monday, Tuesday. First call comes in. It's an incensed corporate executive with ABC Networks who lives in Detroit, whose office is in Detroit, whose travel agent is in Romulus, and he lives in Pontiac or I don't know, wherever, some suburb, right? He stays in the hotel 50 days a year. Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't match up the three, right? It was just when he stayed, he got a suite because it was booked from his home. I don't know, right? And you're giving this to first-time guests. I stay 50 days a year and never hear from you.
Yeah.
You jerks. I don't know whatever happened. He may have just left, right?
Yeah.
So second one, Mrs. Smith got the thing and didn't recall being in Washington, and they're very personalized. Thank you for staying, the weekend of such and such, March and the cherry blossoms. Hope you enjoyed the whatever. And she didn't recall doing that because her husband was in Los Angeles on a business trip that weekend.
Questionable. Yeah.
So that one event.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was
involved.
I was at the corporate office going, have you guys checked this list? Don't worry about it. We've got it. Right, the unintended consequences of new technology. Hey, we can go do this. Going, if you're just relying on the computer and you don't know,
there's always risk involved. But I think that it's just ill-conceived, right? When you're treating first-time guests special at the
better than
the repeat guests who are obviously more valuable. I think anytime you're doing some kind of reward or incentive, you've got to be mindful that it's not discriminatory and and it's not at the expense of someone, because
let me
people
tell you,
are going to find out. And people, even if they didn't, if he hadn't received it, right? Think about it today. Had I stayed there and for the first time and I'd gotten the robe and I'd gone and posted it on social media, now everyone knows that first-time visitors are getting that, and it's still going to
Why
get
didn't
out,
I get?
Right?
Why
don't I get that? Because I've stayed 5 times, right? So you got to be really careful and think through these things. Make sure the strategy is sound. Make sure that it's inclusive, not exclusive, in the sense of it's going to help everyone be happy, have a better experience.
Yeah, and that's where it really gets down to the operations. I mean, you need your front office when they're blocking rooms and things like. How are they dealing? Hey, we aren't going to be full tonight. Do we upgrade our frequent corporate guys or whatever who are probably paying a discounted rate? Do we upgrade them to deluxe rooms or to suites or should we be nice, or do they start expecting that? Right.
Yeah.
And then they're dissatisfied when you put them in the regular room, and all of a sudden all those sorts of dynamics that's where you really get the quality general managers and the quality directors of marketing who can go figure out that sort of last mile in real life stuff is that's tough.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, at the end of the day, if you treat every single individual as a person and not a number, regardless whether you've identified them with a number, I don't think that's
right.
as relevant. Treat them like an individual person, a human being, and I think you eliminate a lot of those risks.
And that was Izzy Sharp's He was like, good, do all this stuff. I don't want people to even know they have a number or have to ask them for the number. No. Let's just make sure that we know that stuff, and let's keep track of it. The one that's very scary is at the Hotel Data Conference a couple weeks ago. The discussions of, isn't it going to be great to do personalized pricing where every visitor gets a different price based on their behaviors or who they're. Boy, talk about opening yourself up for discrimination. Like, be careful what you wish for. It's a really bad idea. All right, and they're all very excited. We'll be able to. It's like, no. Have common sense, rational pricing that everybody understands, and they go, I get it, and they don't go, wow, that's super expensive, or that's unusually cheap. It's like, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
is a really good response.
It's the right
and then
value.
deal with services and ways you can make their stay better. But jumping around the price, and all of a sudden, because somebody wrote an algorithm and built some rules attached to God knows what, which could be based on just what a competitor is doing, right? Which may be completely irrational. It just makes no sense. So there are gonna be lots of pitfalls around that area. Let's see. I don't know if there's anything else.
IHG CEO talking about Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon is a threat to online travel agencies, not hotels. I guess
agree with
I guess it depends on what you consider a threat.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think they're a threat in the same way that OTAs are, right? In terms of it can hurt their margins, right? Yeah.
A powerful intermediary who's able to, that you're relying on, who's providing value and can charge for it and reduce your margin.
But I think he's right in the fact that it's another distribution channel, and they're a threat in the same way all distribution channels are. But as a hotelier, the more distribution channels there are, the less you are reliant on a single. Currently there's this duopoly, right? That the whole industry is reliant on having a third person. You could argue Google's coming into that, but not quite. Yeah. If there were 4 of those, and then it was split evenly between the four, that's a much better position for the hoteliers.
Keep them honest,
because they don't have the ability to squeeze you like they can currently. You can negotiate, and you could negotiate exclusivity. I know some people do that now between Booking Holdings and Expedia Group. They'll say, we'll go exclusive one or the other if you give us this kind of rate locked in. But you could do that a lot more if there was more options, more of a distribution.
Yeah, I guess my point is, with Amazon, don't expect a friendly, benevolent friend. Maybe. Yeah, it's like be very wary. These guys, I mean, 15% is not normally in their vocabulary. They want 30 sort of thing, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's a different industry, and it's an industry they've coveted for a long time, and they failed at 3 or 4 times trying to get into it.
Right.
And they've gone into it backwards, right?
But not seriously, though. Yeah. I don't think Bezos ever dipped his toe in. We're going to do it, right? It's like, okay, let's try this. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Fail fast. Pull the plug.
Yeah.
And they have. They tried partnership with Expedia. That didn't give them, as far as I know. Yeah, my assessment is didn't give them the yields they thought.
They didn't last long, right? Yeah.
No. In Expedia, they looked at it and thought, this is better for Expedia than for us. That's not good, right?
That's not the Amazon way.
They went to Overstock.com. That was just not good because they were looking for discounts, right? They were looking for really cheap, something differentiated. That didn't go. They did their own, they did their own little local experiences type thing, which they couldn't scale effectively. The sales cycle was too costly and took too long, and too much maintenance and all that stuff. So I think it'll be interesting. I think they're waiting for something where it's really easy to connect into these guys.
But I think that's backwards for someone like Amazon and the way technology has evolved. And yes, we still struggle with integration. But if Amazon were to do it the opposite way and let everyone integrate to them, just
AWS.
You have some kind of
or AWS. Here we've got hotel inventory. Here's the platform. Just like having us do all the stuff.
Right to it. We'll monitor it. We'll approve people, and we'll make sure that it's legitimate. But let the
Yeah.
industry write to you. If you're Amazon, you're going to get a ton of early adopters because people are always looking for new channels. And then once it hits a critical mass, everyone's going to jump on board. And it's really not a lot of engineering from Amazon's perspective.
Well, and just think of what the data that Amazon has with their collaborative filtering recommendation engine, right?
They know more about me than anyone, than
anyone.
Right.
Pretty much. I mean, they know the music you like. They know the products you buy. They know the brands of the products you buy and what sort of frequency. They know what's going as gifts. It's absolutely insane.
It is.
And if they can go, what it would be the perfect vacation for you, because we know that you love Nicki Minaj, you love Italian, you love Luciano Pavarotti, Nicki Minaj, and the Wiggles. Really?
Yeah.
That's so amazing.
It's a perfect
but we know the perfect place for you.
Yeah. All three are playing in Boston on this night, and you could go see all three.
Yeah, exactly.
I was looking at my Amazon account earlier today because I got a few packages coming. I always have a few packages coming, but trying to figure out when they were going to get here. And I just happened to start playing around with some of my data and looking at my order history, the number of orders I've made every year. And I started using Amazon, I want to say in 2013 or 14. But,
wow.
Every single year, it's growing exponentially, the number of orders I've made. So they've got me. I don't go shopping anymore. I just don't.
You're a
go
Prime
shopping.
member. So now, did you ever shop at Whole Foods? Or are you doing food deliveries with them as
We're
well?
not doing food deliveries. I started doing, but this is again about convenience. I've started doing Walmart the pickup because I order on the same thing on the app every couple of weeks, and my wife picks it up, and it's convenience, So I literally don't step foot in shops anymore.
I don't do a lot of subscription stuff. And actually, I'm looking. This is interesting. I just opened Amazon. The page opened up. It says, "Hi, Robert, customer since 1999." That's pretty amazing. I'm an early adopter. What can I say, right?
Wow.
But they have recent orders, and again, I still use, both of my daughters are on my account, so I don't know. Amazon may get really, video recommended for me is Sex and the City season 1. Right? Like, I don't know.
They have some persona issues going.
Popular brands you like. There's a pair of very nice patterned shorts which appear to be for women, some sort of like athletic, very thin pants, some pink,
it can go awry. The recommendation engine can
pink
go awry.
Converse All-Stars.
Yeah. You might want to take your daughters off your account.
Yeah. So we've got some. Oh wait, there's an interesting purse and makeup bag here. Look at that!
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah. My mother-in-law several years ago had hip surgery, and so I went and purchased a bunch of stuff to make her life easier. So like the stick to pull on the socks, just a bunch of stuff for her recovery.
I gotta think your recommendations were.
It started thinking I was a 70-year-old and had some, some kind of disability and inability to move. So
because Amazon's gone past demographics, they could care less. They're just behavioral. It's all behavior. We don't care what they're doing. If Stuart is buying a lot of stuff like that, great. Let's help him. Let's help him do that.
Right. So, the pens started showing up on my recommendations.
Well, of course. I mean, and all of a sudden you discovered that was a game changer for you, even at your young age.
That's right.
You can now work at your desk twice as long
never need
without
to stand up in the middle of the day anymore. It's great.
Exactly. So but no, and now I have resisted the subscription to things, but we are now subscribing. Again, Amazon has interesting data. They had made recommendations for me, but it was like, cat food. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it happens that between our two cats, they eat 11 pounds of cat food every month or something like that, right? But I looked at it and was like, oh my God, it's every month that I'm buying this, within a day or two, which was pretty outrageous. Which now you figure out why the cat food company bags this in an 11-pound bag,
Yeah.
right? That's maybe for one cat a 2-month supply, or it's a 1-month supply for multiple. I don't know, but you always kind of figured 11 pounds is kind of a weird. Why wouldn't it just be a 10-pound bag, right? Sort of thing. But they had that, and so what did they do? I mean, the marketing is genius. First subscription order, 40% off. So, boom! They say, I save 15. And then it's going to come every month, and I save 5%. Right. And you go,
even if that's a couple of dollars more than your grocery store, you're going to do it.
It's less. It's less than PetSmart. It's less than Petco. And they sometimes run specials, but I'm not going to go run to the pet store to save $1 or something like that. But this one, it's kind of structurally built in. And they had the little teaser. You can save 10% if you get 5 or 6 items subscribed per month. And you kind of go, oh my God.
They really are drug dealers, man.
They are. I mean, and let me tell you, my older daughter, well, my younger daughter is pretty much addicted too, but my older daughter has more disposable income and that sort of thing. So it's incredible. I mean, and for her wedding, Amazon wasn't her main registry, but it was on there, and she could get a whole ton of stuff, and they had really good offers for getting bonuses of things where the bride and groom got extra stuff or money or credit or gift cards or something based on the volume of stuff that people bought. But
really smart. Anyway. So imagine all that applied to vacation planning.
The registry, the bridal registry type. Unbelievable. I think we used it was Blue something or other. It kind of had a weird name where it didn't sound like a bridal registry. My daughter was like, "This is I found it for her. Thank you very much." But she was like, "This thing is freaking amazing," because she could go pull in things from different stores, right? So there was integration with Macy's, there was integration with West Elm and Crate and Barrel and all these different places. It kept track of stuff, and some of it was a little kludgy when you book, but it would automatically have people, like if you click the link, it would go back and then pull it back and make sure that it went back into your list. Because again, on that was this item checked off? We only want 1 set of candlesticks, not 8. And it was and keeping track of all the stuff that's going, the scarcity of a lot of this stuff is gone. I better get something. Let's go on this. Ability for multiple people to share in a purchase, all those different functionalities, and you go, wow. And travel planning of trying to get a group of people to go to, hey, we want to go to Keystone, Colorado over the holidays. How can we in the dark ages compared to some of this stuff? And
for sure.
So pretty amazing stuff on the retail side. And sell your soul to Amazon, sell your soul to Google, and we'll see if Google makes inroads on that. I don't know. We'll see. But
those are the 2 to watch: Google and Amazon for sure.
Facebook's doing a lot of interesting stuff from a media perspective, and Instagram in particular is really kind of fascinating. I didn't include it in here, but there was an article on they're going to do like a shopping channel, like a true shopping platform. And I don't know. Well, it'll just really enable sales through this really easily, right? And you kind of go, that makes a lot of sense. I had some stats when I did this. I did a thing at the Hotel Data Conference on influencers, and oh boy, the Instagram stats were insane. Something like, I can't remember, was 80% of people who have a friend who like promotes a product, they go and check it out or something like that. I mean, it's just this hugely high number, and you just go, that's amazing.
I think we're going to do an episode of our podcast soon on influencer marketing, because I don't think people really, I mean, there's a lot of buzz about it, but I don't think people are really taking it as seriously as they should yet. And it can be really, really, really.
And I have not sent the Lumio analytics stuff. I did and I need to remember to send that stuff over to you, because the guy has some pretty interesting stats. But we pulled out 2 influencers. And one was
Kim
a travel.
Kardashian?
No. Actually, the big one is
Kanye West.
No. I think it is a Kylie. Can't remember if it's Kylie Jenner or who's the younger who's the other Kardashian? It's the younger one. I can't remember.
That's,
I put whoever on these $1 million a post now, which is just stupid, right? But anyway, no, we had these two people. They were both based in the UK because we wanted them to be kind of comparable. One was a couple, one was an individual. The individual woman was marked as one of Travel and Leisure's top 8 travel influencers in the world. And then we went through and just kind of looked through the stat. Unbelievable. 27% of her followers were basically ghost accounts. Very low, 0% high degree of engagement from her fan base. Because these guys at Lumio go and do analytics on the followers, right? It's not so much influencer. It's like what's going on with the followers. And you look through these, and I found a couple example posts. And there you go. There she is on the beach in the Maldives with Banyan Tree or whatever. I'm sure Banyan Tree sponsored it, but all they were was a destination. She was selling some top from the Top Shop and something else, all hashtagged out on this thing. And you just go, the hotel was just, kind of this generic beach if they noticed. Yeah. Whereas the other couple, who did stuff, really high levels of engagement, great stuff. Not as many followers, 1/5 the followers as this other person.
But the value you're going to get from
it. They were at the Shangri-La in Paris, in the room that overlooks the Eiffel Tower. Right. And what were they doing? The Shangri-La was giving away a weekend stay. Right. And you go, well, yeah, now you've got influencers. Yeah. They're in this, aspirational destination. And and now they're going to give the followers a chance to actually experience it. It's like, yes, that is really solid, influencer marketing sort of thing. Yeah. But so many people are chasing just, throwing really bad money at people who are just not doing anything and living interesting lifestyles because of it. Right. It's like, well, more power to them if you can get paid for doing that. But are you really contributing? If they're a great photographer or something, maybe they can do some great stuff. But again, what's your contract like with them that says what they do,
right?
And what are you going to pay for them based on what
look
terms?
Historically of what they've done. Do they go above and beyond the contract? The contract should be the minimum they do. But do they actually care, or are they just kind of mailing it in? And a lot of times, what we found is the larger their followers, the less interested they are, because they typically are getting more money from people, and they've got more business coming in. But
multiple people, they're getting paid by other.
But like Shangri-La did, I think you've got to really think through the strategy and come up with what's tangible, right? Because at the end of the day, we're not in the business of selling impressions on Instagram or even awareness. We're in the business of getting hits in bed. So how can you create some kind of campaign that ties it all the way back to people booking? And I've
exactly.
I'm one of the Adrian Award judges this year for the first time. I've never.
Oh, you are.
Never done that before, and
just in the early sessions, not as the not the platinum or best show.
It's the online stuff, right? So it's
right.
Just like all the entries, and it's and without disclosing any specific entries or the details, it's
some of it makes you very sad too.
It does. Some of them are like, what are you? I don't even. But what I've noticed is there's a divide, and I'd say probably it's almost 50-50, but some of the campaigns that are being run, and I'm looking at digital marketing, right? That's my area of expertise. And a lot of them are under the results section. The objectives and the results are what I really pay attention to, right?
Right.
And a lot of them, the objectives are website traffic and impressions and just this intangible stuff that doesn't really have any monetary value.
And then the results don't even relate back to the objectives.
Yeah, but then you got others. Like there was one, and I want to say it was Radisson maybe, but they did some kind of game where and Marriott done something really similar, but their whole thing was about trying to get loyalty signups or trying to get some kind of impressions, and they spent about the same amount of money. But what Radisson did, what was different, was they were looking at how do we actually convert this into real meaningful bookings? So during the
Right.
campaign where it was gamified and people could gain loyalty points, they were
Right.
also aggressively pushing you can book a stay now for only 10,000 loyalty points. So
Right, yeah.
their results, not only was it how many signups they had and how many points did people get, but it was how many bookings did they actually make. And to me, like that kind of tangible result,
Yeah.
as a judge, that's what I'm looking for in the agents. But as a marketer, that's what you should be looking at 100% of the time whenever you spend money, is looking for tangible
And they should be able to
results.
look at that and go, well, yeah, you could book for 10,000 points. It might be one night.
Right.
Well, were these people just coming in for one night in their local city and that was it, just to burn it?
Right.
Or were they, oh no, they were
Yeah.
staying for 3 nights and they were doing this and the patterns changed and
Right.
yeah, how
Now, have they come back again in the next 6 months?
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, and that's what I basically did, because I only had like 25 minutes at the hotel data, so I kind of, ran through like 35 slides, like a pop, 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 pop.
Yeah.
But it was like, let's look at your social funnel. Your social funnel is similar to just the regular booking funnel, but a few little things you need to kind of look at in terms of the, your impressions and how that kind of, filters down. And then how do you tie that into your regular conversion funnel of all your other metrics and you've got to have those two things connect. They can't be just siloed out, or you will fail, or maybe you'll succeed and not realize it because you can't measure it.
Yeah.
Which is probably the worst. Well, not the worst outcome. I guess you could fail and not realize you were failing. So think you were succeeding, which I have seen some. Rationalizations like that were not.
Yeah.
We're not so good. But anyway, well, hey, we can wrap it up. You want to do the rut row? Was a little. I'm sorry.
It was interesting.
Tim's not here.
Yeah,
Tim's
I'd like
not
to hear him
here.
get political for sure.
Yeah. So I was hoping, Tim would just go totally political on us, which for people who watch the show know Tim will not go political. but although we try to bait him continuously
Every time.
to do so, but he won't. He has good restraint. But
Like
we
the
have.
rest of us. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought it was very interesting. You have this representative from California, and we don't have to say the party because that is really kind of irrelevant
right, yep.
on this thing. But Duncan Hunter had a few problems with his campaign finances because the Hunters, not just Duncan the rep, but his wife, are accused allegedly of improperly using their campaign funds for personal things like travel. But I thought one of the things on the row was they were trying to book through Expedia quite a bit because of the merchant model, because what they wanted to do was they were doing things like, in this effort, she allegedly, always want to say allegedly, spent $918.60 to fly her sister and 2 other family members to a funeral in Tucson, but told the campaign treasurer it was a flight to Baltimore for the NRCC winter meeting, whatever that is. Right. A National Republican Campaign Commission, something like, or committee or something like that. So flying family members to different destinations, attributing it to something with.
So her theory was that Expedia hid where the flights were.
Where the flights went, because they remember. Although, oops, that doesn't happen when you book flights. It's almost always the airline is the merchant of record. Except she should have been. We talked about packages earlier. If she had put it in a package, she would have been set.
Maybe she'll be able to book on TripAdvisor next time when
Yeah. Well, you can do it. Certainly, Expedia pushes packages aggressively because they make a freaking fortune off of them. But anyway, they were trying to bury their travel expenses and accountability for that by using a merchant model transactions through an OTA instead of booking direct. So hoteliers, your book direct campaigns, you're really going to have to target these corrupt politicians, right? It's going to be very difficult to figure out how you can do this. So you may need a furniture store next door who you can process. I don't know exactly how you do this.
Funny.
Yeah,
I got a chuckle from the rut row. That was funny.
Yeah, yeah. So there are always little interesting
Mhm.
things of what you can do. Where we could have easily had the Ruh-roh be Google change the algorithm again, but
Yeah.
that's
It
Ruh-roh.
would be a row. Yeah, it hurts
Yeah,
some
they
people
all.
for sure.
Yeah,
Always
yeah.
hurts some people. But anyone that's doing the right thing should never be shocked um, by the Google changes, because they're never going to really affect you if you're building good content
Right.
and doing it authentically and helping people, being a good
Yeah.
utility.
You have a
Then
good
you don't have anything
CMS,
to worry about.
a logical site structure that
Yeah,
makes sense.
mobile friendly, because that's how people consume.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
yeah. Let me tell you, I've looked at a couple of sites, and well, now especially that Chrome is coming up now and basically saying secure or not
Oh
secure,
yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, these hotel, and still actually even the number of vendors, hotel, who don't have secure websites. You just look at that and go, come on.
I'll be
You've
honest,
got
we don't yet, and
You don't?
we
Oh
don't,
my God.
we don't. But we're in the process of a major redesign, so we just haven't gone back. But
Oh, okay.
it's fine. I mean, we don't honestly,
Yeah.
we don't get a lot of business through the website anyway, so it's not.
Yeah.
That's it's not a priority to us. But I can assure you, all our customers do have secure sites.
I think now when it starts going red and it says not secure in the browser, that's going to start having people go,
Yeah. I mean, if you're
uh-oh.
doing any kind of transaction, or if your website is meaningful to your business in a real
Yeah.
tangible way, then you'd be crazy not to have it secure.
Yeah. Well, I think Google's using, certainly using it as a signal too, right?
Yeah.
For ranking things
Yeah,
like
no
that. So they
question.
can,
No question.
Yep. So that the speed, all that sort of stuff is
Yeah,
just
and
really,
even if Google
really,
wasn't,
really
it's
important.
just, especially like you said on Chrome, it's a bad user experience now. It's going to cause some distrust, which is the last thing you want to insert
Yeah.
into the relationship. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And the one thing I didn't
do now.
include here, I didn't include a one where I was going to, and I thought I was just going to get a little too nerdy, would be WordPress now with their Gutenberg platform, which is a whole redesign of WordPress basically into blocks. And there are some other CMSs that are kind of block oriented, but just that whole approach of, I think it's be very interesting to see how, I understand why WordPress is making the change. I've heard some interviews with Matt Mullenweg on why they're doing it, which makes a lot of sense. But it'll be very interesting to see how if Google really embraces this and is really looking at these blocks of content versus the full page. And I know they do that somewhat with now these progressive sites and things like that, where you have kind of infinite scrolling. But still, I think the whole how this stuff is laid out and structured is going to wind up being a pretty interesting.
Well, considering what 60% of the web is on WordPress is something.
It's unbelievable. And Matt Mullenweg, we were joking about how it's difficult to do the right thing, like we're talking about the IDs for the hotel. Mullenweg, the guy is not a billionaire, right? His platform is running 60% of the web, and he isn't like number one. He isn't up there with Sergey and all the other folks and Bezos. I mean, the guy's a certainly multi-million. I don't know if he's got but I don't think he has $100 million, sort of thing. I think he's been sitting there that it's fine, 30, 40 million. I'm going to donate some of the stuff and let's go and do the right thing to help people have better websites and make it easy is good. But then again, I think if people get themselves into a huge amount of trouble because it's the whole, it's the do-it-yourself guy who goes and watches Flipper Flop and goes, oh, I can go do that.
Yeah. We've had to help a lot of folks that come to us with a self-built or, cheaply built WordPress site that ended up getting hacked.
Yeah, it was a good idea. Yeah, it was a good idea, but they wound up using whatever caching software which hasn't been updated in 5 years or has some weird exploit, and that's why it stopped. That plugin just isn't used anymore, or they have 50 plugins, right? And the thing's like, why are we having problems loading? Yeah. Well, maybe it's the 175 cookies that are dropping from all your social sharing things. Like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah. That's funny.
Anyway, but Stuart, I think we're wrapping up.
Wrapping up.
Where can people find you?
They can find us at Fuel Travel anywhere on the internet. So fueltravel.com, on Twitter, Facebook at Fuel Travel. You can check out our podcast at fueltravel.com/podcast, or wherever you download your podcast. Just search for Fuel Hotel Marketing and you will find us number
It
one.
is, and I have it right here. I'll show you in Stitcher. It works quite nice. Actually, Google has gone now into their podcasting.
Yeah, they've got a new app now. So yeah,
that's going to be interesting.
Showing up there. It was on the Google Play Store before. You had to use Stitcher or whatever. But they've got their own little podcast app now. I'm ambivalent. I don't care how you listen to us. Just go listen to us.
Yeah, and it's surprising. It was funny. I talked to actually the Skift guys. In the top 40 of startups, according to LinkedIn, about their podcast isn't on Stitcher. It's like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, it's
you guys want people to listen to your thing? It's hard to find. You can get an Apple and things like that, but it's like, I use Stitcher. It works great for me, and the Google one seems to be comparable.
Yeah, Google seems good. I mean, I'm still an Apple guy, so I still use Apple Podcasts, which is fun.
There are still a few that, for some reason, they aren't structured where they aren't popping up on Google. And I'm not. Intelligence Matters, which is I don't know if you follow. It's actually a U.S. kind of a not cybersecurity, kind of a intelligence, department. CIA, former CIA guy.
They're not on Google. That's interesting.
For some reason, he is not on there
automatically, but it might be a structural thing because you can't actually submit to Google Podcasts. It's because when it came out, I went to look to make sure we were on there, and we were. But there's no way to actually submit to Google. They just
they just
Google
pull it they find it.
Find your feed. Yeah.
And for some reason, I would search for them. They weren't discoverable, and I think they're owned by CBS or something like that, right? So, which was why I kind of called them out. And I was like, wait a second, you've got CBS and this thing, which I don't know, probably has a decent following. And they're not there, and you can't search for them. Or Google's pissed off at this guy. I don't know. So since I guess Google didn't show up for the intelligence hearings, or for the I don't know if it was the Intelligence Committee, whoever was a Commerce Committee, somebody was talking to Sandberg from Facebook and Dorsey from Twitter, and apparently Google no-showed. Larry and Sergey are too busy working on the new Pixel 3, I guess. I don't know what they're doing. Their cars or something. So
that's funny. So where can people
fixing
find you?
The August update, fixing the August update, going through the servers.
Probably so. They're rolling.
Probably for hotels, trying to
working on the next update.
Why it isn't working as well. Probably after listening to our podcast.
Probably so. So where can the fine folks find you, Robert?
Find me at Robert K. Cole on all social media, or rockcheetah.com, which desperately needs to be overhauled as a website. But since I'm a real eat your own dog food guy, I'm not going to be smart and go to a group like Fuel Travel who could help me out and build a website for me probably very quickly and painfully.
I heard you can build one in WordPress. Just make sure you have.
I built it in WordPress, and by God, I'm going to do it in Gutenberg and see how it goes. Because actually doing that, you certainly learn a lot about things that really don't work well for me, like CSS and I do not get along.
Really?
We don't talk. We don't understand each other for some reason. HTML, that's fine. I can, PHP, I can deal with a lot of CSS. No. I just don't. We do not get along.
I could make a joke about you not having any styles, but
that I have no style. That is probably where it starts. I just got 0 style sheets. So.
Cool.
Anyway.
All right, folks.
Okay, good stuff.
See
have
you
a great
guys.
weekend.
Bye.